goal in cracking a walnut is to get as big a piece of walnut as you can, like this, with the isthmus intact. This makes good candy, and also is a nice treat when served by itself. In order to get the biggest pieces possible, we have to understand the walnut. Now, one of the most important things is walnut selection. You want to get fresh walnuts, and get them from as close to the source as possible. These walnuts are Howard walnuts. They're grown in Oregon. I purchased them a couple days ago directly from a nut farmer out in Hillsboro. These walnuts have not been traveled, so they haven't had an opportunity to be traumatized. Now, in order to get as large a pieces as possible, you have to understand the anatomy of the walnut. The walnut is heart-shaped. It has a primary seam here and a secondary seam here. We're going to want to crack it along the secondary seam, and we're going to want to remove the upper part of the shell here and take the walnut out in this direction. Now, inside the walnut, there is a septum that looks like this. The septum actually separates the two halves and sits in this direction. There's a secondary septum that runs along the primary seam, but the main septum runs along the secondary seam. So, and also it wraps around, the septum wraps around the isthmus back here. So when we take this septum out, we want to make sure that we remove this portion that will pull on the isthmus and break the full walnut into two halves. So that's basically the goal of what we're going to be doing. Let's give it a try here. This is a brass cracking surface. It's good. I'm going to give that a try. Got a walnut here that's, when I move it back and forth, makes no noise, so that makes it a good prospect to get a full meat like this. I'm going to turn it up on its edge, crack it on the upper pole along the secondary seam, not the primary seam. Hold it down firmly against the surface, and I'm going to hit it with a glancing blow until I hear a little loss of integrity. And that's quite a bit of loss of integrity. Let's see if we've done what we get here. That doesn't always bode poorly, because if that walnut is protected by its internal septum, that won't cause damage. So let's see what it looks like here. I think we maybe have a good one here. So remember, this is one half and this is the other, and see, they're moving together. So the halves are moving together. There's a little hole right above the secondary septum. This is the primary septum. You can easily slip in there with your pliers and start on the other side. And then go after that other side of the walnut. We're trying to remove the upper half total, and I do it about an eighth at a time. And again, you just have to be patient, and because we don't want to disrupt this walnut. If we get a full walnut meat, it's really a beautiful thing. So we'll just take our time and see if that'll happen here. Now this primary seam is pretty bulky in this one. I'm going to take that off, and that has a secondary septum right here that runs along with it. Now we should be able, yeah, this is a full walnut meat, so we're in good shape here. I'm going to take this part of the primary seam down more, and we'll take this other area apart here like this. Most of these walnuts that are not complete walnuts are usually, and I think I'm just going to try to remove this and see, yeah, and it comes out nicely there. So we've got a nice walnut here, and remember, you have to remove this portion of the septum back there here, because this, when you pull the septum, the main septum out, if you don't, this hooks around the isthmus, and if you don't get this out, you may think you're going to get a full walnut, and then when you pull on it, what happens is that isthmus breaks. So I take as much of that out there as I can with my small pliers, and then just grab the seam from the front and pull it out this way. And that's basically how it works. And this is a nice full walnut piece, intact septum. It's good color. These are pretty hardy. You can manipulate them, make candy with them, and serve them individually, and they're just a wonderful thing to eat. So very good. This walnut is a little bit small, but it's quiet. It doesn't make any noise when we shake it. So I'm going to crack it along the secondary seam here with a blow with my picture hanging hammer on this metal medallion. It's a pretty firm surface. Let's see what we get. That's a pretty good crack. I don't think I'm going to do, well, let's go ahead and turn it over to the other side and do the same on the other side. Okay, there's a little crack in there. So I'm going to now just remove this cracked area. See if I can find an entry in here. There we go. I'm going to try to take off this upper eighth on either side. There we go. Now this side, it looks like this is all moving in unison, so we're good. Now there's a secondary septum here. This is the primary septum. I'm going to slip above that and crack the upper eighth off here, like that, and then over here, like that. And what we're seeing here is this is looking pretty good. Just gonna, yeah, everything's moving as one, so we have a full walnut meat here. And I'm just going to use my small needle nose to take it down so that it can be removed. I'm going to take this little side, that's a secondary septum right there that I just took out. So we're looking pretty good here. Let's see if this will come out. There, it wants to come right out, and that's what we're looking for. Now, as I noted before, we want to get the septum out on the side of the isthmus right here, because if we don't, when we take that one's good, when we take the septum out, see this septum is real complex here. I want to just get that out so that when you pull it out from the other side, that it doesn't break the isthmus. So we're ready to go. Let's see what we've got here. Just going to reach in here and grab this septum and see if we can't inch this septum out. And there it comes on one side, and there's still a little bit more over here. Sometimes it helps to just push, turn it over and push here like that to get that septum out, and there, that helped a little bit. So we'll pull this other primary septum out right here, and we're pretty much done. There you have it. That's a really nice, clean, no dings on it, and perfect walnut. Good color. Probably it's a very fresh walnut, so it's going to have a nice taste. There's a little bit of a septum right there. See if we can't get that out as well. There we go. So this has no septal debris in it. It's really good, and that's what you're looking for.